Okay, it is finally time to go live and be live and do live and am live. We are live, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. If anybody ever watches this, we got zero people waiting. Um, to the 96% of my audience, that's male, according to my YouTube in depth. I mean, that might be because women search YouTube anonymously, or they're not signed in, or they have they generally probably have stricter privacy settings. Most of the people I know on Instagram who are private are women. They've got 2,000 followers, but they're private. Uh, that's not to say all, not to be a total sexist pig about it. I just finished watching. Well, so we're on the Steve Carell fucking trip. So I just finished watching. We're watching his filmography. There's really a lot. He's got a lot of variety of film. You get the impression that he picks films that he wants to do. The roles are not always that interesting. Well, I don't know. He's got an interesting career because he's got kind of mainstream. Like we watched this movie, Crazy Stupid Love. God, it was fucking horrible. Ashley likes all the ones that I hate. She hates all the ones that. So then I just watched Battle of the Sexes, which is directed by the people who directed Little Miss Sunshine. And so they're trying to recapture some of that magic. Carell and whatever that they were like music video directors. It's a husband and wife couple, and they directed like the fucking Smashing Pumpkins video. That's like the Trip to the Moon silent film, the Méliès silent film. They directed a bunch of fucking music videos, Californication, and then they made Little Miss Sunshine, and the rest is history. They have a long history story. I mean, I thought it was kind of surprising because it was like a biopic sort of type thing. I mean, it wasn't a biopic, but it's based on real life. It was what you might call woke Hollywood. It was definitely Hollywood liberal, feminist. It was very feminist, uh, gay. It's very gay. But I liked it. I mean, I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was a positive, inspiring story. It kind of reminded me of Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, that Glow show, where it was like, I don't know, that kind of wave of first term Trump resistance type woke, uh, which I think was empowering to a lot of marginalized people previously were suddenly getting represented in the media. And so films like this, fucking, I hate Emma Stone. I'm literally, I think that millennials, we've been cursed with really bad movie stars. I just watched this video about how there will be no more superstars. It's like it's the death of the superstar. And I just think in Hollywood is the new Detroit. Is kind of these some of this AI content that they're making already is like insane. The New York Times had an article about it, about these guys that make like AI fucking movies, and they're pretty. I don't know. Some of this AI slop is just absolutely nuts. I mean, I get why people watch it 18 hours a day or whatever. It's like Ashley shows me all these cat videos where like the cats are like, all the male cats are jacked and all the female cats are like kind of fat. And it's just, I don't know. It's like Japanese kind of like surreal culture times on steroids, where it's just like it's dramatic. It's like non sequitur absurdist. It just makes no fucking sense. It's anthropomorphizing cats, which everybody. I mean, the internet was like built. Maybe cats are taking over the world. Maybe cats are the ones that are like secretly gonna win the AI race. I mean, cats are bigger on the internet than I am. You can put your cat on the internet and get like thousands of people to look at fucking pictures of it or videos of it. Somebody is clicking on and off my live stream. So we're talking about AI slop here. The future of entertainment. Hollywood is dead. The unions are dead. Bob Iger killed it. It's going to be all AI slop. Feed AI slop to the, human leftovers that aren't eradicated by Trump's huge government programs. He's going to kill all the old people. I figured that's how they're going to get rid of Social Security. They're just going to kill all the old people, because if they're all dead, you don't have to pay Social Security anymore. So I think that's their plan. Get rid of the Medicaid and the Social Security will take care of itself. Genociding the boomers or something, I don't know. Or the poor ones anyway. Genociding the poor. We've been watching YouTube. I mean, I do got to say, it's not all negative. We are living in a golden era of like being able to watch live concerts on the internet. Like you can watch the Ozzy retirement concert live. You can watch, like I've been watching, there's this thing in San Francisco or Oakland. It's called, it's an alliterative title. It used to be called something Burger. Now it's called Mosswood Meltdown. Mosswood Meltdown. Are people watching Mosswood Meltdown? It's pretty cool because it's like kind of local San Francisco bands. Devo played. They were like the headliners. But it's like it's a fucking HD video setup. It's, it's direct audio, so you're getting like the mix from the board. So you're watching like a fucking live Last Waltz style fucking cinema movie of like this fucking local music festival. Not to mention all the Grateful Dead concerts that we watch constantly. YouTube is like the ultimate public access, the ultimate archive, the ultimate bootlegging, tape trading, CB radio, ham radio. That's why I like it, because it's just extremely shack fried and DIY. And so I think like with this Colbert thing, right? It's an indication of sort of like the passing of the torch. There was this article in the New York Times. Everything I just assimilate all these articles and sort of regurgitate it. Well, that's writing. That's legitimate source, the New York Times, like as legitimate as we have sort of at this point. One of the last. It was all about who watches these podcasts, right? Who is watching fucking why is it's like a shock to the entertainment industry that people will sit and watch a 3-hour long fucking Theo Vaughn, like quiet. There's no editing. There's no fucking, it's cheap to make. It's just two guys hanging out. I mean, I was watching this interview with Tim Heidecker on that Josh Citarella, whatever the hell that show is, Doom Scroll, which I like, which is on YouTube for free. And he was talking about, well, it's passive viewership. It's like watching a narrative film, watching something that's like really produced. It's really demanding as a viewer. You got to follow along. You got to watch Steve Carell fucking try to date after Julianne Moore cheats on him. And Emma Stone is in this goddamn movie too. Crazy Stupid Love. It's sort of a precursor to La La Land. If people have seen La La, it's Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. Everybody. So this is what I sang. The movie stars were trash. I've always hated Ryan Gosling. I mean, he's okay. I liked him in Song to Song. I think he's like a charismatic. He's a little cocky. He's what in the pickup artist world they would call cocky funny. But goddamn, I mean, Ryan Gosling was like the feminine ideal before they started to hate men in like 2015 or whatever. In 2011, there was feminist Ryan Gosling was like the meme. Ryan Gosling is like rooting for you, girl. Like he's like on your side. He's one of the good ones. Even though he's white and cis and het and blah, blah, blah. But he's okay. But there was a moment where this is the hottest guy like in the fucking world. Is this guy? Like, I don't know. And it was right around Crazy Stupid Love. That was like peak So they got Gosling, they got Carell. The cast, they've got like an Avenger style. The cast is super filled out. Fucking Marissa Tomei is in every goddamn movie somehow. That's one of the things that I love about movies is like it's kind of cool as an actor to have that career where like you pop up in different stuff. You might be in a small role, but it's like, oh, there's fucking F. Murray Abraham, in this movie, or Marissa Tomei pops up in tons of fucking movies. She was in that Adam Rapp movie we watched with Ed Harris. So we're studying the artistry. I think that's one of the art of being an actor. I think particularly a film actor is like building a resume, somehow getting good directors to like you, knowing what the good scripts are, the good stories are, and getting into those movies. Some of these actors are better than others, like Steve Carell. I think he had a celebrity from The Office, right? He was a household motherfucking, he was sort of like comedy actor number one other than Will Ferrell, who's like a little more over the top. Steve Carell has kind of a lighter touch. He's sort of like an Alan Arkin. He's got that Second City thing. I don't know. It's grounded or something. I do think he's a good actor, but he feels like a TV actor. He doesn't feel like Robert De Niro. He doesn't feel like Al Pacino. There's something that's like sort of like normcore or like mid. I don't know. He doesn't have that kind of like allure of like, but we're living in this era where it's like movies are TV shows are movies, TikToks are fucking TV shows, YouTube is fucking, podcasts are fucking movies. People will watch a 3-hour long, bullshit session with two of the dumbest people on earth. Rogan, it's like the stupider you are. Once we've gotten rid of the gatekeeping of like the legacy media and the floodgates are kind of open, then it really gets to the lowest common denominator. There's no people in New York or LA choosing like, oh, maybe we'll go with Larry David or we'll take a chance on fucking Letterman or whatever the hell it is, Conan. Think about how fucking Conan got in. He was like a complete but they just trusted him and they wrote it out and they sort of built his ass in a way. Whereas now it's like fucking Andrew Schultz and fucking has got like this huge goddamn platform. Like he's Mussolini doing his radio addresses. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate my 2 subscribers or whoever's 3. We're up to 3. All right. So we're all battling it out in the Hunger Games of the attention economy, trying to get seen. And so it's like it's provocative, stupid shit, violent stuff, stuff that pushes people buttons, stuff that's triggering. Hearsay, a lot of it's conspiracy theories. It's like ghost stories because there's no vetting, there's no fact checking, right? Obviously. So anyway, Steve Carell, fucking, he's a pretty good actor for that type of thing, even though he's like, well, I think 40-Year-Old Virgin, right? 40-Year-Old Virgin was like this kind of unexpected. I don't even know how they made that fucking movie. But it made like shitloads of money and sort of created this Judd Apatow where like Hollywood would just invest, all of these fucking like sort of Apatow and Apatow adjacent like mid-aughts, 2010s like comedy movies. They all look like fucking Jerry Bruckheimer movies. They all like Transformers. They're like extremely widescreen. They have extremely high quality cinematography like it's fucking Bad Boys. And it's like they're filming like Seth Rogen's like thong living room or something. It's like, what the fuck? Why do they need such high budget, high production value on like I Love You Man or like all these fucking Paul Rudd movies? Like Paul Rudd is in every single fucking movie. He's in more movies than Marissa Tomei. He's got to be some kind of agent. He's got to be on the Diddy tapes or something. Paul Rudd has got to have. He was on the island. Is he on the list with the Clintons and the Podesta? It's Podesta, man. Colbert has been hanging out with Podesta. Okay, they're close friends. Colbert and the Podestas and the Clintons, they're all in the flight logs. Okay. Trump is going to release it. He's going to release it. They're going to cross a bunch of shit out first, but they'll release it. Yeah, so it's a crazy fucking time. Late night is dying. Colbert, that's like the supernova kind of collapsing into a black hole. It's the end of an era. I mean, it couldn't last forever. I read this thing about Steve Allen started. It was so I read this article a few months ago about Carson in the New Yorker, written by this guy, Kenneth Tynan. They just had Colbert do a take on this fucking article. It just came out, I think, next week's issue or something. And it's pretty funny. I got to say, Colbert is a funny fucking guy when he wants to be. But he talks about how the Tonight Show started as a televised after party for Broadway. It was a way for Steve Allen. It was broadcast from some fucking Broadway theater live, I guess. And it was something that like the actors off on Broadway could do after their fucking show, where they'd go on TV and be on Steve Allen and do a song, or Oscar Levant or whatever the fuck it is. And it's sort of mutated into what it is now, which is like this antiquated, where they have 5-minute interviews with fucking some extremely supporting actor on like CSI or some fucking Law and Order show or FBI or some autopsy fucking show, Dexter, some British fucking show. I mean, it's not a surprise because like if you watch these old Carson episodes, right? I mean, they're very watchable because Carson is like charismatic, but like the interviews are fucking terrible. It's super cringe because they're all trying to be funny, so it's like very like pained. Rarely do they break through to something that's like actually funny. You can tell they're all trying to overcome their kind of self-consciousness. And he has the same fucking people on. It's always like Orson Bean and like Tony Randall. It's like he has the same fucking guests. Charles Nelson Riley. It's like they weren't that fucking interesting to begin with. But back then it was like they're trying to sell fucking Hamburger Helper or Hertz Rent-A-Car with OJ or whatever. So it's like that made sense it's a medium is the message thing, right? Whereas like now people are lonely. We're all addicted to our phones. They've trained us to be addicted and isolated. The pandemic kind of cemented that. And now our lifestyle is to just like huddle in the fetal position and watch on our phones as the world fucking falls apart piece by piece. And then the commentary about the world falling apart piece by piece. It's like watching slow motion Armageddon. It's awesome. It's a real thrill ride. Well, now we are participants, like we're content creators. So it's like we're intimately involved with all of the fucking storylines. It's like we're subject to history, we're going to get our healthcare cut and we're on the fucking reality show. It's exciting. There's real stakes. It's how we feel something, as we're like huddled up with the fucking screen and shit. It's fear. The fear is what kind of like is that actually? Let me move over to the window here for a second, though. Never mind the background. I wonder if I can green screen something in. Crazy Stupid Love has got a sort of a statutory storyline. Steve Carell is like sort of like there's this babysitter that's like in love with him. She sends him naked pictures. But not they were like real pictures. You can tell it was made before like iPhones took over everything, because like she doesn't just send him like nudes. She like takes pictures, she prints them out, she puts them in an envelope. It's all analog. It's all analog nudes. So Steve Carell, he strikes a nice balance. I want to watch this fucking Vietnam movie that he did with Richard Linklater. I would watch his Uncle Vanya. He just played Uncle Vanya on fucking at Lincoln Center, like in the last few months or something. I could see him doing that. He's got serious sensitivity. He has an interesting presence. He's got an interesting energy. He's very like kind of like, I don't know, soft on screen or something. But he's still like draws you in. There's something like kind of like, I don't know, kind or something about him on screen, or he's not like trying to dominate you with like ego and typical male kind of overbearing. He's 5'9". So is he a short king? He seems like a short king. I mean, if you just saw, you'd think Steve Carell is like some shrimpy little fucking loser. I mean, he's Michael Scott. What the hell else is going? So yeah, people have seen Trump's cankles. I don't know if this is just like TikTok wishful thinking, but a lot of the nurses that I've researched on Reddit and TikTok have been saying that it looks like the official story is what he's got the CVI thing, which is some kind of vein. It's supposedly not a life-threatening I don't even know if you'd call it an illness condition, but the nurses that I've researched with on TikTok and Reddit have said it looks like congenital heart failure. That's a symptom that's common of people when their heart is failing from eating McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken their whole life in the White House and on private jets. And the only exercise they get is playing golf. So, the liberals, we're all pulling for liberation. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Well, I don't know. It's like a cult thing. Once Jim Jones is gone, the cult kind of. And who knows? I mean, not to speak ill will of anybody, but that son of a... I mean, he cut everybody's Medicaid. He's going to kill a lot of people. It's for the better of everybody. Just keep feeding him Kentucky Fried. Give him those chicken sandwiches that are like made of chicken. Remember that? What was that called? It was called like a double something. Remember, their KFC had some real stunt food where they had these. It was like a chicken sandwich, but the bun was also fried chicken. I don't know if that's still legal. Trump probably served it to the Kansas City, or who won the fucking Super Bowl? It wasn't the Chiefs. It was the other team, the Eagles. I don't remember. Who the fuck else was in the Super Bowl? I played this open mic yesterday that was outside. It was a block party on Amsterdam right on 109th. So that was pretty cool. Shout out to Columbus, Amsterdam. It was like some youth kind of like local group, some kind of community group. And so they were having a block party. They blocked it off, and so they had a tent set up, and they had a little mixer and some amps. So I got to play some songs at this, this cool kind of outdoor block party. That was a fun kind of summary. Trying to get ready for my gigs this week. Open mic tomorrow. Doing comedy Tuesday at Luxor Lounge. Come on out to that 9 p.m. So I was working on my comedy act. Trying to whittle it down to my tightest 8 minutes. My best 8 minutes. So I've got all my bits. Let me see. Yeah, here's my bits right here. This is my comedy set list right here. So I'm kind of whittling this down to my strongest material. And then the rooftop gig is next Saturday. So playing this rooftop in Park Slope, right near where I used to live. So that'll be a fun little return to the old neighborhood. I don't know. I mean, I need some new songs. These it was an open mic, but it was like there were only 8 people that played. Everybody got 15 minutes, and you had to like sign up online in advance. So I don't even know if they vetted these people or what, but they were all like pretty freaking good. And I don't know. It's hard. It's hard these days as a white guy playing a guitar to make that interesting for people without a pedal board. The pedal boards are kind of like de rigueur. Just trying to do shit with your fingers. I look at an electric guitar now and it feels so 50s. It feels like some kind of like, it looks like those cars from the 50s or something, like it's got big fins on it or some kind of old radio or something. It's like, it looks like it's just like an artifact. It's sort of, everything is looped, or people just don't really play as much with their fingers anymore. Or I don't know. I mean, I think like something that Josh Citarella guy said on his podcast. He was like, when he was growing up in the 2000s, emo culture was sort of a reaction against traditional masculinity, or like, in the imposed kind of like standard masculinity of the previous generation, where it's like they wore like emo people wore like skinny jeans, right? They started wearing women's jeans as a way to sort of like protest the kind of like prescribed Bush era macho, whatever it was, American flag, beer drinking, Toby Keith, cowboy, boot cut. Everything I had was fucking boot cut. The jeans you get from Target or whatever, and the classic rock concert knockoff t-shirts you get from Target. And so for me, like, this is one reason why I think Springsteen has come back sort of as like an influence, because I mean, if you look at somebody who's sort of like an outspoken political figure, Springsteen's music really, it has kind of like proletarian values. It's like meat and potatoes. It's storytelling. It's rhymes. It's not, I mean, there's poetic kind of flourishes, but it's not like Bob Dylan where it goes into this kind of like aristocratic, surrealistic nonsense, or just more kind of psychedelic or poetic, more like Rimbaud or something, a more kind of, I don't know, highfalutin, abstract. Springsteen stays grounded in real world stuff, real world stories about people just, working, or, even like Charles Starkweather, right? Writing a story about that, writing a story about working on a highway. That's a song I've been like obsessed with recently, because it's just like there's so much detail in the, like a Chuck Berry song, I guess, there's so much detail in every syllable. And it's like a short story that's told through poetry. It rhymes. It does a lot in a little bit of space, but you can extrapolate a lot on who the character is. There's sort of like a poetic justice to it and form to it, where it's like he starts out working on a roadside like business thing, right, building the road. Then he falls in love and meets this woman, and who knows what happens there. It's sort of but for whatever reason, he gets thrown in jail, and so ironically, he ends up back on the road gang, but he's in jail. He's on the fucking like chain gang. So it has a different meaning at the end that it does at the beginning. And that riff, just sounds like drills ringing out. It sounds like that, but in a very like proletarian way. It's not, you can feel all that. You can understand that. If you're Chris Christie, you can divorce yourself from kind of the politics of it or whatever, and you can just appreciate the kind of masculine storytelling about real guy stuff, working on a fucking highway, blasting through the bedrock. Springsteen's got some kind of like, I don't know, butch. He's like butch, or like he's like, he's almost in drag. That's why I think so many guys go as Springsteen for Halloween, because it's almost like his head drag. I think that was part of it for me, is like looking for styles of masculinity to imitate as somebody who lived in the Midwest under the, umbrella of the legacy media and kind of like boomer. To me, I followed boomer culture. I read my parents' Rolling Stone magazine. I listened to their records. I learned how to play that music because I could. It was easier to figure out like songs from the 60s. You can figure out any Beatles song on a guitar, basically, pretty much all of them. Whereas like something like rap metal or something, it's like that's when you got to have pedals, you got to have a lot more equipment. It's just like, even like emo, right? Like emo was, looking back, like, okay, this song came on, we were watching this live feed from Nudies. Nudies is literally, they're a self-proclaimed honky-tonk bar in Nashville. It's a famous bar. These nudie suits, right? Everybody's got a nudie suit. It's been there for probably decades, 50 or 60. Who knows how long it's been there. And this is Nashville, Tennessee, right? Like the home of country music. It is a self-proclaimed honky-tonk. Every time I put on the live stream, they're literally playing, like, they started playing this emo song, and Ashley immediately like started singing along. It was this band All Time Low. It's like, this is a country music bar in Nashville, and they're playing like Fall Out Boy and shit, or like metal. They're playing like Stained, or they're playing like butt rock. It's all like butt rock. They're not playing fucking, George Jones songs. They're playing fucking Nickelback or Limp Bizkit, or I was tuning in. My point is, I don't know, it's just like that shit was new and was cool. Emo culture kind of spawned a lot of fucking things that, that's something Hanif Abdurraqib talks a lot about, is how he sort of like came up in the emo fucking scene in the Midwest, the home of emo. Skinny jeans and swoop haircut with bangs and Pete Wentz and those, Hot Topic striped sweaters and shit. I was like imitating Bruce Springsteen. I was like, let me wear jeans and a white t-shirt and have like sort of like, short hair. Like to me, those kids in Stand By Me were always style icons. I always liked the simplicity of 50s style. the kind of Army Navy store crew cut, or shorter haircut, white t-shirt, like the Born in the USA album cover, jeans. But that's like, I don't know, that was also a way, I guess, of just trying to like blend in, not call attention to myself. To me, I guess I had the idea that like fashion was, I don't know, needy attention, attention thirsty. It was like thirsty. I thought fashion was like thirsty. I don't want to use the word shallow, because like I think fashion is one of the premier art forms, and like people who are into fashion, it's like are usually very smart people with a lot of stuff. It's abstract, it's colors, it's not about literacy, it's not about linguistic, it's not verbal, it's color, it's form, it's size, it's more like painting or cooking, or it's proportion. It's what looks good, it's what's giving. It has to be, it's giving, it has to serve. The look has to serve somehow, whatever the fuck that means. We know it when we see it. We know it's serving when it's serving, when it's giving. How the fuck did I start talking about this? Oh yeah, Springsteen. Springsteen is sort of like hetero drag, but also kind of a socialist. I mean, he writes about labor, how it affects the lives of these characters. The river, the guy gets a job, but there's kind of like a sadness to it, right? The kind of like living death of having to go to the factory every day for the rest of your fucking life. And he's been very outspoken about Trump. He just released these fucking like albums of like his speeches. We just got to take what we can get, like these are the leaders we have, for better or for worse. Springsteen, I do think he is like a fucking salt of the earth guy, I think. And as hard as it is for somebody like that probably to stay down to earth, having arenas full of people cheer for him every, night of his life for the last 50 years. It's cool that he's still out there on the road and he's still doing it, and he's still outspoken. So like, it was also Bush era, when I started listening to Springsteen, his work just kind of makes sense. But it's, the thing I didn't really realize it until getting back into it is like how country it is. A lot of Springsteen stuff is very fucking like twangy, and like I think he probably thinks of himself, as somebody who lives on a fucking ranch or something in New Jersey. I mean, I'm sure it costs tens of millions of dollars, and he's like probably a billionaire or close to it at this point. He does travel this country playing gigs every goddamn place, sort of like Bob Dylan, even though he's in Europe a lot, and Springsteen is definitely like, I'm sure had his share of the high life. Like all of these boomer kind of like rock gods that we have to like live. We were preparing ourselves to be them. But the emo guys really had all the swag, I guess. I don't know why. It was a more effeminate like type, I guess. It was more like Prince or something. I think, some of the guys that I knew that were like the biggest ladies' men, if you want to call them that, were like extremely like clandestinely like gay seeming, or like, they use that as a way to disarm the women, I think. in order to hook up with them while they were wearing their skinny jeans and had their pierced lip or whatever the hell it was. You know, I was not really emo. I remember going to my friends took me to this like emo gig one time up off Henderson Road, I think, by where the old Max and Irma's was. I think it may have been where the old Max and Irma's was. It may have been the same fucking building. They converted it to something else, and there was like this band had two singers, and they were both just like wah! Screaming their fucking dicks off. You know, their veins and their necks and everything. And so that's definitely been an influence on me as like a performer. I thought, okay, that's hot, I guess, is just like screaming emotionally. I think that's one of the hallmarks of millennial male originality. Everybody liked Death Cab for Cutie. I went to this open mic at what was that fucking? There was this place on High Street on campus that was an Indian restaurant, but they did karaoke. It was incredible. Taj Mahal. It was so dope. Every Friday night they do karaoke, but it was like a townhouse. It was almost like a brownstone or something in New York. It had like that same kind of like parlor. They had a little bar that was sort of like a douchey millennial club, you know, with like neon lights, and you'd do like vodka, Red Bull, or whatever the hell. But then they had the like townhouse, which had a couple different rooms, but like cornice and big windows. It was like a split level. So it was like on a kind of a half second level. And a big window in the back. And they did an open mic every Tuesday or Wednesday, I think. And I went a few times. I did Alec Baldwin's Glengarry Glen Ross speech there. The video's on Facebook. Facebook did exist at the time. But like, I remember there was this one guy, the people that were like really cool at the open mic, there was like this one guy that played Death Cab for Cutie, you know, and he had kind of like, I don't know, leg tattoos. And this was like 2008, 9, 10. I'd go there a lot when I worked at Sushi Inn. So that was like 2009, 2010. The you know, kind of the peak hipster emo skinny jean. Every jean was like elastic. Somehow these jeans were like spandex. I never really was a skinny jean guy. I guess they didn't really. I wasn't. My legs are too skinny for that. I mean, I felt self-conscious about being in. Maybe that's my own heterosexual insecurity. Wearing a skinny jean, I think, was a signal to women of our generation that it was like, I'm safe. You know, I'm a feminine. I understand like female needs. I'm not like these bros with like spiky hair and sort of metrosexual workout gym rats that are afraid of women. And so they try to like, you know, have all these like fashion indicators or something that attract, you know, like I'm going to frost my hair. Gym tan laundry. You know, you've got no neck muscle, but like your arms are like super jacked. I mean, when I was in high school, it was like the rock revival. Coming out of high school, MTV2 showed like the Hives, White Stripes, that Lego video. The Strokes, of course, were probably like the last band that like I remember girls at school talking about them on Saturday Night Live on Monday. They were talking about how hot the Strokes were and how hot it was they kissed each other. The Strokes like kissed each other in the mouth. They thought Julian Casablancas was like the hottest guy ever. And, you know, that conversation has never really stopped. I still think Julian Casablancas probably, I don't know, in a certain way. He's got an aura that, I don't know. Ryan Gosling certainly can't match it. I've gotten 0 likes on this fucking stream. I guess I'm not funny enough. I'm not digging in. I really need to crack into some kind of oil or something for these people. We got to get into some kind of ore. We got to strike it rich here on the internet, like Andrew Schultz. What, people don't like my millennial life story auto fiction? This is auto fiction, everybody. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's like my post 40 kind of just like, but now it's like all these memories are kind of resurfacing and developing from like my 20s. So now like my 20s are far enough behind me that I'm like, and like I said, the Springsteen thing sort of came back. So that's kind of, I'm revisiting that. For a long time, I was just like, no Springsteen. It's not a good, it's kind of corny. It's very corny. But I don't know. I think he stands on business politically. I saw Springsteen multiple times on the Oval at Ohio State campaigning, first for John Kerry, then Obama, playing the same fucking set, playing No Surrender. I think maybe he played Promised Land or This Land Is Your Land or something like that. Some Woody Guthrie shit. He's sort of more, he's influenced by Steinbeck and Flannery O'Connor. I think Springsteen affects like American literature and like short fiction. He can fit, a short story into a song. And it's interesting how modular his works are, where it's like, he recorded like 80 or 100 songs for a lot of these albums, which when I heard when I was younger, my friend Steve, shout out to Steve, he's always been like a Springsteen fan. He'd tell me Springsteen recorded 80 songs for Born in the USA. And you're like, bullshit. No way is that true. But then, they keep putting out these fucking tracks albums. It is true. They put out they put out alternate album of like Darkness. They put out alternate album of The River. Or they put out an ultimate album of, it's like, Jesus Christ. That's in addition to the tracks album. When I was 20 or, 19, 20, I got the Springsteen Tracks box set. And that was fucking, it was a huge fucking artistic study. And it's one of his best out. It's not, the demo Springsteen, he's got some of these demos are lo-fi, people are into that now. In the 80s or whatever, when he put out Born in the USA, it's like, it was a very slick kind of, but those synthesizers, man, are very contemporary. They sound like MGMT or something. The whole Born in the USA album is all these crazy fucking, but that stuff has only, as things have become more computer based and synthesizer based, and that's the music people like. They like electronic fucking music. They don't want to hear a band with real instruments, and even the Strokes sound like fucking Daft Punk. They don't really sound like Lynyrd Skynyrd or something, where it's like you hear the wood and the metal. Like Springsteen, it's like you still kind of hear rock and roll, or like rock anyway. He kind of has become like a rock artist. He's like an arena. He's got that hollow, echoey kind of like, his guitar sounds like a sword. His guitar is like this fucking sword, like that Telecaster. Darlington County. That song, Darlington County, I'm obsessed with. Down, 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 down. Born in the USA. It's like 10 fucking songs. He gets in, he gets out. And 3 of them are just like massive arena hooks from, from hell. And then all those other songs, I'm Going Down, Cover Me, I'm Looking for Love. My Hometown is on there. I'm on Fire. I played I'm on Fire at West Park on Friday, and I butchered it. I didn't butcher it, but it wasn't my best. That song, I remember I heard it on the radio in my fucking Oldsmobile in high school. And my girlfriend's dad was like Springsteen obsessed. He like had Springsteen bootleg CDs in his, I'd go over to his house and like sort of like try to peek because he had, this was in around the 2002. Like you had to have actual fucking CDs that you like mailed to people and shit. They had all these super dramatic One Night in Steel Town, Springsteen, Pittsburgh, 1983. Hard Times in Peoria. Springsteen Live, 78. Tempe, Arizona, the Darkness Tour. It's the best fucking Prove It All night ever. It's the best Adam Raised a Cane. I tried to get into Springsteen bootlegs like The Dead because I'm looking for another live band that's like that endlessly kind of like interesting to listen to. The Beach Boys are kind of, most bands don't change their songs enough. The Dead like embraces the kind of changeling malleability of the material. They like exploring. Whereas like Springsteen, Beach Boys, it's like they're kind of just, they want it to sound like the album. They're not going to do some weird fucking jam version. Springsteen, you might get some guitar solos and shit like that. The band will probably do some solos. But I mean, I watched, there was some clip of them playing Jungle Land live, and he literally played the solo exactly how it is on the album, which like it's an incredible solo, and it is like very memorable, but I think Springsteen learned a lot of what he knows from records. And so his records are like made of records. You can feel he's trying to make good records. He's great with rhyme. I don't know if that's his rhyming dictionary or what, but his rhymes really do. Springsteen was this kind of like like he can't really sing that well. His voice is nothing. It's just like any guy could probably learn to sing about as good as Bruce Springsteen. But man, in college, I was obsessed. Like I wanted Audible Detonation to be fucking Springsteen, and it was just never going to happen because his band is this big, they've got 8 fucking guys. They've got an organ. They've got a saxophone player. They got a piano player. They got 8 rhythm guitar players. His wife plays rhythm guitar. Steve Van Zandt is playing rhythm guitar. Nils Lofgren is playing rhythm guitar. He's playing rhythm guitar. They need that, all of that wall of sound, I guess. But his band is sort of like America on. It's like he's putting this big vision of cooperation and like a big family or community on stage. He's got the horn section now. It's multicultural. His band has always been diverse, which I think is, that wasn't always the case with music. I think that's commendable. Yeah, well, it's something that he has been doing. He's always been political and left and working class. I'd say that's like, the defining quality of his fucking image, right? Is that he's like this working class blue jean Glory Days video. It's like they're playing baseball and shit. The old Dead America before everybody started to like Hoobastank and emo music took over. Springsteen had fucking Tom Morello in his band at one point. I mean, that's pretty interesting. Another kind of activist, Democracy Now, Woody Guthrie, fucking This Machine Kills Fascists, renegade of funk. Is Springsteen a renegade of funk? I just don't think there's a possibility to be that or do that probably anymore. Like those guys have just like he's this huge grossing, where his tour makes shitloads of money, hundreds of millions of dollars, because his fan base is all people like Chris Christie. It's a bunch of rich fucking right-wing boomers, boomer dads. I remember one time, me and Tommy and Ian was in the back seat, and we're driving after our gig. I think we'd played at the High Five or something, and we'd had a good show. And I had my iPod, and Ian hated Springsteen. Ian fucking hated him. Me and Tommy were like obsessed. You could kind of figure out what he was doing. And I mean, some of those songs, man, I mean, Thunder Road, that's an incredible piece of work. Like, Jesus Christ. And so we're driving to Buckeye Donuts after the gig. We'd always go to Buckeye Donuts after our rock shows in the rock revival era. This was circa 2004, 5, 6, 7. Probably 2005. The Hives, we love the Hives. But I had it on my iPod, and so we're listening to Rosalita. Do people know Rosalita? If you're out there, do you know Rosalita? Rosalita is I would say it's one of the peak moments in rock and roll. It's like a bravura. The thing about Springsteen, though, is he's almost like a postmodern. He's somebody that assimilated all of the earlier rock and roll stuff. He wasn't necessarily original. He came after the first couple waves of the 50s and 60s. Even though he was a part of the garage bands in the 60s, he played on McDougal Street, and he went the whole time before he sort of emerged. He'd been playing a long time professionally before he made it. He'd been playing in bands he was probably making a living, for almost a decade before he made it, I would think. Like a lot of these people, they're not just, overnight. They just start very young. Like Springsteen was playing when he was a fucking teenager, like regular gigs, because there was an economy for that at the time. That was the whole world was just exploding with garage bands, and at least that's my sense of it. Now it's like everybody wants to hear a fucking DJ. Or I don't know. It's just like it's impossible to figure out how to make money. The bars don't pay you. You have to charge a cover charge. I don't know. Something has changed. Like Jonathan Richman says, the United States has changed in some way that I can't name. There's just not a democracy of garage bands. Or there is, they're just not making any money, or I don't know. It just feels like they're not developing. They're not developing. Like Springsteen's creativity kind of explodes in these crazy fucking long, epic, poetic Spanish Johnny and, New York City Serenade and all this stuff. That's probably his most original. It's almost like prog. It's like prog songwriting, where it's just like all these songs have like different movements and shit, and all these chords and all these lyrics, and Jesus Christ. Blinded by the Light, it's just got so many fucking lyrics. It's Graphomania. And then he kind of mellows out over time. And I don't know, sort of becomes more like Simple, like Hank Williams or something. I think he wanted to simplify, which I don't know. I'd like it if I like his long, crazy fucking songs. The first few albums, those are the albums where you're like, well, he's not just copying old soul music or something. Like everything after Born to Run, it's like I don't know. It's kind of like he's just throwing everything into a blender and doing like rock. I mean, I do think Seeger is equal, if not better, than Springsteen. I think Seeger definitely has a better voice. Springsteen, I don't know. A lot of it, it's dope, but it's also like, I don't know. He's making pop music, so it's like he's just cranking it the fuck out. You can tell he's a workaholic. You know, he's not a drug addict. He's not an alcoholic like a lot of, like the first wave of rock stars, like Keith Moon or something. You can tell he's a workaholic. He just, you know, he feels like it's his duty as a blue collar Catholic, whatever, to just like, his dad worked in a factory, so it's like he's got to work in a factory, the hit factory. He's going to go there every fucking day and just write 4 minute, you know, he's going to have 100 songs to choose from for the fucking river. And like 50 of them are pretty fucking good. He reuses lyrics and shit. A lot of times he's like taking spare parts and like slapping it on this fucking song. And I don't know. This is my artistic study. I should probably be writing more of my own music, but like what I found more fun, or a direction I can take it, is like live, like yesterday. There's certain songs that like I don't really know all the words. But it's like, I don't know. I'm sort of coming up with words that are just as good on the spot. And I don't know. It kind of fuels the performance. And so my new thing is kind of just like trying to write on, you know, and just throw myself into that and just have the stage be kind of an endless. That's where I write the songs. That's where I'll do that work, is on stage. In front of people, and then record it, and then figure out what the hell I said. But I need some new riffs. I need some new, like, because even like the new songs that I play are like 10 years old. And I don't know. I've been trying to play songs that I've never played live, that like, just to see, you know, like if you're playing all these open mics, it's like, why the hell not? Why play the same thing every time? Why not try? You know, there's a bunch of songs that I actually like sat down and wrote back when I used to. It used to take me. I would sit on song ideas I'd had for like years, because I'd want the lyrics to be perfect, and I'd want everything to be like really like maxed out. And to be honest, like looking back on these songs, it's like a lot of the lyrics are not very interesting. Like it's almost better to write a song in 15 minutes. Like you hear these guys say that, like Neil Young or Bob Dylan, they'll be like, yeah, I wrote that in 10 minutes. You know, I wrote Rockin' the Free World in 10 minutes. Neil Young is, I think he said, he's like, he never takes longer than 15 minutes to write anything. It's like, it's almost better. It's almost better to have lyrics that are like, I don't know, that are like distinct and idiosyncratic. You don't really know what they mean, but they just fit. You know, if you take it super seriously and you're like, oh, I got to nail this. I got to be like Leonard Cohen. I got to write 100 verses. And like, just like, you know, it took me 10 years. Leonard Cohen took 10 years to write Hallelujah. That's why it's Hallelujah, because it took 10 years to write. It's like, I don't know. I kind of like the idea. A song is almost like a cartoon, or it's almost like something it's like a doodle. Like Trump's doodles of naked women. You know, that stuff can, if it works in the moment, it's like, that's all you need. If it works, that's what it is. It's like, you don't need, well, it's not the right thing. It's not the message I wanted to put out about whatever. It's not what I wanted to say. I'm taking what I say. It's just like, I don't know. Songs are just like emanations. It's like a mood that comes out. And so anyway, I guess this is another self-deprecating insecurity stream. Is this why my audience is 95% male? Shout out to my 95% male brotherhood out there. Keep it strong. The incels in my my viewership, my subscriber base. You're not incels to me, okay? You're trying. You're trying. That's all that counts. That's all that people can judge you by. I was saying something very important about songwriting. This is my songwriting clinic. Today's subject, Bruce Springsteen. Has he written a song about Epstein yet? Has he written a Trump song? I mean, I tried to listen to some of his newer stuff, and it's wild, but I don't know. I'm not sure about it. Anything after The Rising. I did like the Magic album. I had the Magic album. That was Bush era. That was a good one. I never listened to Devils and Dust, and I haven't really listened to anything after. I didn't listen to Wrecking Ball or. This is for my boomer dad audience. So anyway, my point of this self-deprecating insecurity stream. This is why women don't watch, because it's insecurity. I think insecurity is just analysis or trying to weigh all sides of it. It's not really insecurity. It's more like, okay, I'm just why. So this open mic yesterday on this block party, this one girl went up. She was fantastic. She sounded like She and Him or something. She sounded like Twee. Very good, very melodic, amazing. There's like an aggression to a lot of rock music. It was kind of like a meaty, beady, big and bouncy, like The Who. I think a lot of the Who's fan base were like dudes. Or Zeppelin. It's like, this is kind of macho, hetero, fucking toxic. Is it toxic? We're living in an era that is a little more wimpy. I don't know. It's more chill. It's more, I think for one thing, we're so trained in that music, boomer, classic rock. We've just heard those songs so many fucking times that like, we're sick of it. They've just lost their effect. They've just like rubbed off. The effect has rubbed off. They're no longer like stimulating, because it's just like they're just everywhere. Or I don't know, at least like music that is copying that is like not necessary. When I was a younger musician, I thought I should learn all of this music. I should learn how to play the songs I like. I don't know. It's like I like the idea of having a repertoire. If you play other people's songs, maybe it's subconsciously teaching you. You're internalizing the melodies, the chords, and that comes out. And it's also like a bar band thing. It's like, I like cover songs. I don't know why. They're fun to me. You can play longer. Like Springsteen plays cover songs. Bob Dylan's been playing tons of fucking cover songs. Grateful Dead plays cover songs. It's a way of, it's interesting when you choose the right cover songs, how they can inform your own material and fill out the picture. Like when the Grateful Dead plays Promised Land, right? Or El Paso or something. It has this it fits with their other stuff, and it kind of informs something like Me and My Uncle or whatever, or Promised Land sounds almost like Sugar Magnolia or Truckin', or it fits in. It's a landscape. It's rhythmically driven, so it's good for Bob Weir. It's probably something they played in bars. But it also helps fill out. I mean, they have tons of original songs. Maybe it takes some of the pressure off. Playing something like Big River, when they play Big River, it brings in the American kind of songbook, folk music, Johnny Cash. It brings the whole country in to their, it's so, I think that's one of the things that's sort of endlessly listenable about the Grateful Dead is like the concerts almost become individual works of art, depending on how they put the stuff together, when they play what. It's a whole emotional arc, which has kind of its own narrative. The songs inflect each other, they inform each other, they play off each other, they influence each other. It's telling a story. There's character, so you're getting this huge epic with all these characters. The Robert Hunter lyrics are super poetic, and they're almost like mythology, or some kind of psychedelic, like folk songs that were, or they're, in a certain way, they're almost like fantasy. They have an element that is almost like, Dungeons and Dragons or some shit. There's a lot of color and fire and elements in their sound. The Grateful Dead get a lot of alchemy, and there's smoke, there's water, there's Fire on the Mountain, there's Row, Jimmy Row, there's Scarlet Begonias, there's China Cat, Sunflower. It's like all of those things are so mentally evocative and rich with color, and they're just very juicy. And the music, has a lot to inspire. The lyrics, the chords are super fucking complicated. A lot of these Grateful Dead songs they're like Elvis Costello songs or something, where there's just like songs within songs within songs. The chords aren't necessarily anything hyper like jazzed out, but it's like there's just a lot of changes, and things kind of turn inside out. They'll just use G, D, B, A, E, but it kind of flips up, and then they build their kind of guitar interplay from those changes, everybody. I don't know. This is my music philosophy lecture for those who, we're living in kind of a golden era of like music at the open mics. I'm really psyched about everybody that's been coming to play, and all the gigs they're doing and stuff. It's a lot of guitar players. We're saving the acoustic guitar one white guy at a time, okay? Every Monday night. Well, better a guitar than a gun. Better a guitar than an incel. Like if you get up on stage and you play the guitar, like you might have a chance of meeting somebody nice who you might not otherwise. In this era, it's getting harder and harder to meet people. How do you start a conversation with somebody in public? You can't really do it. You can, but everybody conducts everything through their phones. They're all sliding into the DMs. That's how people meet now. Look at this beautiful sunset. Let me get this sunset. Can I get this? Let's get that in the background. I'm like sitting here looking at it. Like, let's try and get it on fucking camera for the one person. Can I get that through that window? Kinda. Yeah, you get the point, sorta. Here. Yeah, that's better. Let's try that. There we go. That's like fucking Miami Vice or something. Look at that shit. Now that is cinematography, everybody. There we go for a MacBook photo booth camera. That is some cinematography. So I don't know. I mean, I think my performance or my style is so like all over, where it's like I'm doing comedy on Tuesday. I do poetry. It's just the poetry festival. I did a clown show. I play noise music. I do this. I make vlogs. I write, poetry constantly. I'm an MC. But then I also am a songwriter, singer, lead guitar, rhythm guitar, live performance, traveling minstrel. Uh, in the medieval sense of the word, not the racist American sense of the word. Yeah. So anyway, like if you really go deep into like your songwriting practice and that's what you focus on, like I think recording is a big part of that. That's something that I've never, I realize now I'm 40 years old. It's been 15, 20 years. And it's like, I never bought a keyboard. I've always wanted to buy a USB MIDI keyboard. And I've always wanted to like make a bedroom album. But I just thought, for whatever reason, I just never bit the bullet on any of those things. It's like, I play live all the time, and I've got sort of this very patchwork recording history of like iPhone type demos, Tascam recordings, and fucking live shows on YouTube that I've posted, and then like various aborted studio sessions over the years that never really turned out that well. Like I'm proud of a lot of the songs that I've written. I do think that they're good songs. I think they have good lyrics. I think they have good melodies. Some of them have good changes. They do reflect the kind of boomer American rock style that I grew up in. I love the key of G. A lot of my songs are in the key of G. But I emo, could I write an emo song? Am I like emo? Like, I guess I'm emo because I was born in 1985. The first gig we ever played, Audible Detonation, we played with this band called Fat Kid Dodgeball, which I'm sure that they'd have to change their name if they ever wanted to play another gig in our current snowflake. Fat Kid Dodgeball was like sort of pop punk emo-ish. They just seemed like a bunch of ass wipes in like, jean shorts down to their ankles and, sideways cap. They seemed like a bunch of waspy suburban douchebags who wanted to be Blink-182. Fat Kid Dodgeball. I don't know. I should have been part of emo, I guess. I wasn't really going to house shows in my 20s. In a certain way, my 30s were my 20s. I had to work in my 20s. I went to college. I lived at home. I babysat. I made micro cinema on a fucking mini DV camera. And I did post it to YouTube. YouTube wiped all of my old movies. You bastards. I wish YouTube had my original fucking filmography on here. But alas. It's got to be out there some goddamn place. They saved everything else. But I was into GarageBand, when it first came out. I spent a fair amount of time on GarageBand. There were certain things, at that point, you were still beholden the idea that you needed to record things in like a legitimate way. You needed to go to a recording studio. You needed a condenser mic and all these, my dad, my brother, both my brothers, a lot of my friends, they all went to the fucking recording workshop in Cincinnati or Chillicothe, where they teach you, or Masseyville. I think it's in Masseyville, technically, where they teach you like proper mic placement, all this bullshit that doesn't matter. Like the only thing that fucking matters is, does it sound good or not? Make it sound good. Like there's things to be said about frequencies, but a lot of that stuff, like I was watching this thing about bluegrass, how bluegrass is sort of automatically tuned to the right frequencies because you have a bass, you have a guitar, which is sort of like the mid range, and then you have the mandolin, which is sort of like the high. And the vocals kind of do the same thing. So it's like they're not in each other's space. The guitar is in its own sonic space, the bass is in its own lane. There's something to be said for that, but a lot of the greatest records ever made sound like shit, and they were made by people who have no idea what they're doing. I think the first Velvet Underground record, wasn't it just like they just went in and fucking like did it? It wasn't like Sgt. Pepper's or some shit. It wasn't Pet Sounds. Not every fucking record is Pet Sounds. As great as, that stuff is. And even Brian Wilson would tell you that. I don't think Brian Wilson was super like sanctimonious about his fucking like microphone placement. I think he was willing to try whatever fucking worked. He was experimenting. He was playing the studio like an instrument, right? That's what was revolutionary about it. And now there's all these asswipes that say, oh, you got to put an SM57 on the Fender Deluxe. You got to put it 6 inches away or whatever the fuck it is, because if it sounds good, I'm a completely amateur sound guy and proud of it. I think I'm one of the best goddamn sound guys in New York, actually. I think our open mic probably sounds better than just about any other open mic. We're lucky to have that sound system, but like, I try to make it sound as good as I can fucking make it sound. And I think we succeed almost all the time. We're lucky to have very talented people who are ready to go, but it's also setting the levels and doing the EQ and blah, blah, blah. That shit is kind of fun. I don't know, man. All of my problems can be traced back, and I think we all can relate to this, that like it's so hard to find a sustainable living circumstance where you don't have to work that much and it's stable and long term and like what you want. It's like it's impossible, especially over the last few years. I think I've moved, probably on average about once a year or something. And it's just like, it's hard to keep things because you're just like, how do I pay for this? How do I keep moving this stuff around? How do I hold on to fucking 400 poetry books? How do I record a fucking bedroom pop album? I don't have a bedroom. I share living space with fucking, 3 roommates or whatever the hell it is. We are all, this is something I've been bitching about for years. I was really ahead of the curve in bitching about this, the cost of living crisis. But now we're all fucked. Like it used to be in Columbus, Ohio, you could find a room on campus in a house like in Old North or Sohud. That's why Sohud was like a thing. Or Washington Beach. There used to be, you could find a room on North Campus for like $200 or $300 a month and like be a fucking drug addict, Cafe Bourbon Street noise musician and just have the time of your life being a bohemian in your 20s, working as a door guy or whatever the hell dirtbag job you had, and hanging out with all the other tattooed V-neck wearing fucking American Apparel assholes at Excess Karaoke, drinking PBR in their skinny jeans while I'm singing Huey Lewis and the News or Elvis or something. Some kind of old guy. Dad rock. That was before the term dad rock. I remember the first time I heard the term dad rock. That like single-handedly obliterated my musical taste. Everything I like is so-called dad rock. Even Chris Isaak. Chris Isaak is like pseudo dad rock. It's like dad rock as genre. It's post dad rock. I'm more of like a post dad rock. You know, there's post punk. I'm sort of post dad. Who keeps getting onto this fucking stream and then leaving? It's crazy to me what's going on. It's like, am I really? I've got people checking in. I've got one like. I don't know. What the hell? I guess I'm no fucking Bert Kreischer. This is no Two Bears, One Cave. I saw Theo Von had Joaquin Phoenix on this week. Does Joaquin Phoenix want to legitimize the fascist? I guess he's just doing the press tour and he wants to be hip. Post dad. Yeah, so this is, I don't know. You have to just invent things. Fuck the cover songs. You just have to write your own shit. Figure out your own, follow your own, you know, like, I mean, it always frustrated me that the people I played in bands with did not know the names of any of the goddamn chords. You know, like I wanted to be like the Beatles in the BBC or in Hamburg. That was like my ultimate. I wanted to be like the Sonics or the Beatles in Hamburg, where it's just like they played shitloads of songs and they all knew them. You know, they could all sing harmonies and they all knew these fucking chord changes. It's like, how did they all learn those changes? How did John Lennon know all of those fucking chord changes to all of those fucking songs? Because they knew dozens, you know, if not hundreds of songs as a band. And granted, like the world of music was a lot smaller then. It's like every band knew how to play What I Say or fucking I Got a Woman, or they all fucking played the same shit. But they actually, you know, imagine getting 4 or 5 guys together that all know the names of the chords and like what they mean, and you don't need to fucking tell them and shit. It's like, it's not, at least in the talent pool where I grew up, I couldn't find those people. It was hard to even, I mean, we were steeped in such like toxic rock and roll mythology that it was like, I thought it was normal. I thought it was healthy to have like a dysfunctional band. I thought it was supposed to be like a bunch of guys who hated each other and brothers that hated each other, and you couldn't get anything done. Nobody wanted to play any of the songs I wanted to play. It was just old guy music. You know, they didn't want to play fucking Beatles songs or Everly Brothers songs or Buddy Holly songs or fucking Springsteen songs or whatever, you know, old fucking R&B songs. Wilson Pickett or Drifters, or let me turn the light on here for a sec. Okay, that's better, I guess. You know, it's like my friends did not know the names of any of the fucking notes on the guitar. So you couldn't just be like, it's a C or a 4 chord. You know, they wouldn't know what key, probably. That probably would mean nothing to them. You know, it's not that hard. You know, music is really not that hard to learn. At least like most popular music of the last whatever few years, it's like most major, it's like a major scale or a minor scale, probably a major scale. If you know what the major scale is and what it means, with like a minor sixth, a 2-5-1. There's a seventh maybe if you want to fuck around with that. The 4 chord, the 4-1-4-5. There's not that many patterns that most songs use. Most fucking songs written before 1960 are 1-6-4-5. All of them. So if you can figure that out, it's like any of this shit. It's like photography. It's like filming stuff. It's like you can probably learn it in a day if you like the basics. There's not much more to it than that. If you know a major scale, you can probably figure out what key a song is in. And then that's why they call it the key, because it unlocks the rest of the notes. Where you're like, okay, that's a 4. Then so if that's a 4, then it's got to be an A. So that's the 1. So if it's in A, it's only going to go to B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp or whatever, A flat, whatever the fuck you call that, and then back to A. That's it. It's probably not going to do anything other than that. That's everything you need to know about music, basically. At least for like 90% of fucking music you play on a guitar. They dumb it down. That's what's beautiful about it. It's like playing cards or something. You don't have to learn that much. Just pick it up and start playing it. Make a beautiful sound. I mean, start singing as soon as possible. I think it's horrible how singing is discouraged in our culture. Maybe I should turn this air conditioner off. Hold on. When I was growing up, I was in choir, and there was like, school fucking music class and shit. But even with that, you're singing with other people. It's probably everybody's biggest public fear, like singing in front of other people. But your voice really is only going to get better and stronger if you sing. And you can get better and stronger. Everybody can thicken their vocal cords. And it's just, I don't know, it's just a good thing to do for your soul. For me, that's what music has been, more like a spiritual practice or like a recreational fun, like just like cleansing thing in my life. I'm not necessarily, I have like unpragmatic, like nebulous ideas about how you become successful. Where it's just like you just go out and play and I don't know, something happens, you become successful. But now it's just like, I don't know, you have to be so goal-oriented, where it's like you need to make recordings, you need to get them on the streaming services, you need like release dates, you got to do social media posts, you got to do stories, you got to do a TikTok live, and you got to navigate, you don't even really have to play live, like you're probably better off just putting all of your energy into trying to do shit online. The opposite of what I'm doing. Let me check this real fast. I want to check my because there was. Oh yeah, I did want to talk about how it's weird. This is sort of related to music and everything that this is on topic. This is, let's block it. This. It's like become normalized to pay like large sums of money to watch aging rock gods completely chopped vocal performances. Like, I mean, I love McCartney, but Jesus Christ. He's like a dog that's had his vocal cords removed or something. I mean, I love that he's still out there. I think he should still be out there. But it's like people are paying $8,000 for seats to see Paul McCartney, like, croak. I saw Mike Love. Mike Love has got so much fucking auto-tune on him. He sounds like the Bionic Man. He sounds like fucking who's the guy who's like the auto-tune? Fuck. Now he's like a streamer. I don't even think he does music anymore. He says he makes more money on a stream. Fuck. Who's the auto-tune guy? Oh, man. Let me look this up. Maybe I should do the Colbert questionnaire. Okay, here's one thing I wanted to point out is like apparently Colbert's name is T-Pain. That's what I'm trying to think of. T-Pain. Mike Love sounded like T-Pain. Throw some fucking auto-tune on McCartney already. Jesus Christ. Why not? I think it sounds great. Not McCartney. They all sound jacked. Like they all fucking sound jacked. Paul Simon. I mean, Bob Dylan has sound jacked for a long time. That's kind of his trademark, but I is it nice out? I think it's hot, right? It's like kind of hot. I mean, I'm kind of anticipating the week. I've got a lot going on this week, so I'm trying to kind of save it for next week. This is sort of a warm-up for my comedy set on Tuesday. I think it's still happening. I'm going to shave somehow. Fuck. I got to work on Thursday. I don't know. What else do we need to talk about? Yeah, so Trump might have congestive heart failure. They said it's a 1.5 to 3 year prognosis if you have congestive heart failure. I mean, well, it goes without saying, but at this point, it doesn't matter. Like he's a Trojan horse, right? Where it's like they really want to get the Project 2025 Peter Thiel Curtis Yarvin program going. And so they don't really need Trump anymore. Trump was just sort of a salesman for Project 2025, even though he kind of denied that it was a thing. That was part of his pitch, that they weren't going to do it. They were just going to dance to YMCA, and we were all going to, save money on eggs. The number one priority in everybody's life, how much eggs cost. We threw away democracy so we could save 50 cents on eggs. So yeah, they've used Trump as a useful idiot. They've used him to get them where they need to get. And now JD Vance can be the youngest president of all time. Oh God, that'll be a dark. And he's so unpopular, but I think at that point, that might be when they actually try to just like take over, because he's not the charismatic leader that Trump is. So they'll sort of have a limited amount of time to get things done before whatever the next election cycle. I mean, I could see Trump becoming like Reagan or something, where it's just like maybe he doesn't die, but he just becomes like sort of incapacitated through whatever the fuck his health problems are. You know, but he'll still do like public appearances and shit and be, you know, do this or whatever the fuck he does, you know, do photo ops. But he'll be basically a vegetable. You know, there's a time-honored tradition of keeping the president in office after they're sort of like medically incapacitated. Like Roosevelt was, I think, kind of like that. I think, you know, the last few weeks of his presidency or something, he was not really all there. I'm sure there's more examples. Biden, most recent example. But that being said, I mean, everybody was talking shit about how Biden was lost it and was not there, and you know, had Parkinson's or whatever because of the debate. But it's like, I mean, when I watched that debate, it was okay. Obviously, Biden was like slow and sort of not quick on the fucking draw, but like Trump was not much better. They got into a fucking arguing match about golf. Like, it wasn't like Biden was the only one that was like wandering off subject and not as sharp as he used to be. I mean, he wasn't that far behind him. You know, it was a shock to me that was the whole fucking narrative. It was like Biden can't run because he's too crazy. Like Trump, they were arguing about golf for like half the debate. Like Trump was equally distracted and kind of senile. You know, maybe he wasn't quite as bad, but now that he's back under that pressure and in that position and under that fucking constant scrutiny and shit, it's starting to become apparent that, like, well, maybe he is fucking nuts. Through everything he fucking does. You know, you're like, is this a strategy? Or it's just like, you know, as people get older, they just get more reckless. They start to give less of a shit. They start to just like say whatever the hell they think. You know, it sort of feels like that's the way he's governing. Like, yeah, fuck it, bomb Iran. What the hell? I'll be dead in 2 years anyway. I've got congestive heart failure. We got fatty cankles, tiny hands, bruises. You know, there's bruises on his hands. People have pointed that out, right? I mean, they try to frame it like, oh, the liberals are so accepting. Like, look at how they're, you know, happy that this guy's misfortune. But it's like, he's brought a lot of fucking misery on a lot of people. And it's you know, this big, beautiful bill already fucking passed. I don't know. You can't bring it that hard for that long. It's got to be wearing him down. It's just got to be. And I mean, they've just come on so fucking hard this year. I mean, Jesus Christ. Every 2 weeks, it's a new crisis, catastrophe, emergency, unprecedented kind of territory. Project 2025 agenda. And so, yeah, these podcasts are passive viewing. They're like our virtual friends. That's sort of what the New York Times is saying. It's like, you watch Theo Von for 3 hours because you're not necessarily watching. It's just like you're listening, right? Like, it's a podcast first and foremost. It's nice to have the video, but it's like it's low. It's a cool medium, right? Like McLuhan. It's a cool medium. It's not a hot medium. Like fucking film legacy media, talk show. That's like a hot medium because it's like it demands your attention. It's these short segments. Colbert, you get a 5-minute interview, you get 30 minutes of bullshit leading up to it, commercials, band, segment, whatever the hell. And then it's just them, it's some actor. It's like, who cares? It's not like educational. Like a podcast, I think for a lot of people, it's like a tool of self-betterment. You're at the gym, you're at work. There's some, to some degree, Joe Rogan is like an educational, at least I think that's how people are using it. It's like, hey, he's talking to Neil deGrasse Tyson or Terrence Howard. I mean, they're learning the wrong shit, but they think they're learning. It's like, oh, fuck, maybe the world is flat. There are fucking aliens. We got to get these AFK files out. We need fluoride out of the drinking water. I'm learning a lot. It is like this ASMR or something. It is like this confessional, personal, confidential whispering in your ear. It's like having friends without having friends. It's like, but you're learning. Like, okay, what's this thing I've seen? Lectures on Tap. Do people know about this? Lectures on Tap is like they do basically like a college lecture style, like TED Talk type thing, PowerPoint in a bar. And it's like, instead of like a band or a fucking, whatever, comedian, it's like a lecture. And so it's like people are, at least in New York, I think they do it all over. This is a very popular idea because it's like, I don't know, people want to better themselves every second. We're productivity monsters. It's like we can't be losing. So I think these video podcasts, it's like multitasking. It's passive viewership because you're doing something else. You're fucking driving Uber or delivering fucking Grubhub or in the fetal position at home in bed. You're what is it? Rotting in bed. Bed rotting. Is it rotting in bed? I feel like there's a name for it. There's some kind of online slang for that. Bed rot. My favorite thing, rotting in bed. My life is an ebb and flow of stress, public performance, going out, doing open mics, whatever, work, doing a video shoot, and then trying to have bed rot to pace it out. New York especially, it's like a lot of people come here for a year or two and then they go elsewhere. They spin out or they've just had enough or they can't necessarily figure out anything stable. I don't know. Or it's just too much drama, too much fun, too much stimulation, too many people, whatever it is, too much energy. That's the thing people always say about New York. That's like probably the biggest cliche is like the energy. It's the energy. There's nothing like it. It's like the energy. That energy is people. It's because there's a shitload of people all on top of each other. That's the energy. It's fucking e-bikes going by. It's dump trucks going by. It's pedestrians. It's subways. It's taxis. It's Ubers. It's fucking traffic lights everywhere. Stuff open late. Bars, gigs, culture. That's energy. It's like if you go to the country, it's like there's no energy because there's nobody there. Which is nice. It's nice to have that. It's nice to decompress, but we're basically chained to computers. So you can have a tab. You can have a tab open with Theo Vaughn And then you can be doing other shit, answering emails, whatever the hell. Or it's like you're playing fucking video games. You can have fucking Joe Rogan on in the background while you're playing a war simulator or Call of Duty or a simulator of a war simulation, some kind of football game, basketball game, Grand Theft Auto. But we're probably, we've probably got the podcast on maybe a browser or a TV. If you've got YouTube on your TV, and then you're probably on your phone at the same time. You're probably fucking on TikTok or Instagram while it's like this passive viewership is what, your primary thing is like your social media. You're checking Instagram every 5 seconds for see who looked at your story. You're going back and forth between your profiles. Then you're going over to Facebook sometimes, YouTube sometimes, Twitter, TikTok. You can watch Theo Vaughn and you can watch TikTok kind of at the same time. You can have ChatGPT do your homework while you're watching Theo Vaughn. But I also think, it is just more appealing. I think there probably were commercial interests in keeping things short and like, let's just talk to actors like Carson. Everybody he has on his show. I mean, he has Carl Sagan, but it's like it's mostly actors and TV shows, and it's like they're not that interesting. He does a lot of human interest where he'll have like, some fucking champion yodeler or some shit from Wisconsin. But it's like it's mostly like Burt Reynolds, Robert Blake. He's got Robert Blake on all the time. It's like, how interesting is fucking Robert Blake really? There's no way he should be on the Tonight Show seen by 20 million people like that much. And so, yeah, I think people, it's like we want longer stories. We don't want to be teased out. Network television kind of teased everything out. You had to wait till next week to see the next episode. You had to wait for the commercial. They're trying to get you to keep watching, so you watch the ads. Make everything a fucking cliffhanger. An act break. To be continued. Whereas, I don't know. I think there's a natural appetite for that kind of long form, cool. And I think HD makes it a little more possible. The fact that it's like high quality microphone, HD camera, it's providing enough stimulation. It's not like public access. It's not video quality. There's no like static. There's no, there's basically like photorealistic clarity, which I think provides like a veneer that's like slick, but also like high stimulus. But it's also like, because it's a conversation, it's steeped in these kind of like more natural rhythms, pauses, speculation, listening. So it's got that kind of ASMR, like soothing, artificial companionship, like replacing your friends. Rather than go out and hang out with your friends and have to like participate. And it's like, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be, you're going to be tired. Then you can just fucking listen to Joe Rogan hang out with fucking, Ken Burns. He had Ken Burns on recently. That's a good choice. I like that choice. He's got to kind of try to save face in the wake of the Epstein thing and Trump basically lying about all of his campaign promises. And Joe Rogan being so supportive of it. And he voted for him. You know, like that was the story. That's why they're writing all these articles about these guys. Why are people watching this stuff? You know, I mean, to some degree, I think I don't see that many people putting out 2 or 3 hour long video podcasts that are HD, that have good sound quality on YouTube. You know, it's like something like Josh Citarella or something. It's like, how many people are doing that? You know, it's an exciting time, but it's also kind of a frustrating time as a creator, because you're like, it's almost like they just opened up the Oklahoma territory or something. It's like, okay, the legacy media is dead. It's like there's all this unclaimed territory. If you can make a name for yourself on YouTube or the various platforms, if you can become kind of a known internet celebrity, it is the new TV. It is the new, you know, if you can be Girls Rewatch Podcast or Subway Takes Guy. You know, I saw YouTube. It's like Subway Takes Guys interviewing Michael Shannon and fucking John C. Riley and shit. It's like that is the fucking, those celebrities are smart where they're like, okay, this is where my audience is. This is where like the hip, I don't know, cinephile, independent content consumers are watching fucking Subway Takes. So yeah, I'll do a fucking long interview with this guy. That's the new thing. I got to get on Hassan Piker somehow. We got to get Zorhan and Bernie on fucking Hassan Piker. So yeah, that's what my show is about, is complaining about, or, you know, just talking about. I mean, it's like, how many times can you write this article or whatever? I mean, it's here. What the hell is Theo Vaughn talking about that's so interesting? I think people just like chilling with that guy. He's a chill guy. He is funny. He's clever. His show, it's like sitting in around a bunch of beanbag chairs in somebody's attic smoking weed or something. You know, it's hangout. You know, it's like a hangout movie. You're hanging out with your fake friends through the screen. It's easier. It's just easier. You know, I don't know. I think our generation, or like generations, it's like we prefer like cool. I mean, TikTok, I guess, was a hot medium. But it's almost like you're having both. You know, it's like you're vaping while you're watching TikTok and some kind of slow thing on your laptop. I mean, apparently, young people can't even watch like a 2-hour long film anymore, because that's like too demanding of their attention span, which I'm kind of skeptical of. But I mean, I remember probably a decade ago, I wasn't watching fucking 2-hour long movies. I was like living my life. You know, I don't necessarily think it was because of the phone per se. Whereas, I mean, I don't know. Looking back over the last couple of years and all these fucking movies I've watched, you know, I'm trying to make something positive of it, and it's like, well, it was an exercise in attention span. You know, like, well, a lot of these movies, I'm trying to learn about history, watching Vice, watching fucking There was another fucking irresistible. You're sort of learning about even something like Bonfire of the Vanities. It's like it's not historical, but it's like it's sort of teaching you about that time, what they were going through, the mores, the values, the look, the clothes. I don't know. It's fascinating to fucking track. Everybody in that movie. There's a scene where somebody's cell phone rings. This is like late '80s, and they all pull out these giant fucking cell phones. Which at the time that was probably super cutting edge, but it was also kind of like foreshadowing, where it's like the phone is like this bazaar, where it's like everybody on Earth is like a carnival barker trying to get your attention as you scroll through, as you click. You're just trying to grab people, hook them, get them subscribing to your stuff. And if it, well, that's the other reason why people listen to this stuff for hours and hours and hours. It's like if you like it, don't you want more? I do think that there's something like soothing about listening to a conversation without having to participate and just letting it happen. Like talk shows were always kind of dicing it up. Even something like Inside the Actor's Studio was like very like James Lipton kind of stayed out of it for the most part. He had his questions, but it wasn't like a conversation. It was an interview. It's like these, Joe Rogan, he interviews people, but it's not totally an interview. It's sort of just like broing out and having a convo and speculating like you're in some fucking deer stand or something, just talking about you did shrooms together and you're looking at the stars and you're just like, man, what if there's fucking aliens, dude? What if the frogs are gay? And isn't it fucking nuts that we elected fucking television game show host to be the ultimate power dictator of the most powerful nation that's ever existed? I'm gonna smoke some DMT. Wow. Yeah. So this is my artistic. I don't know. Get Chat GPT to do it. Just create AI slop. Create some kind of funnel online. If you can create some kind of traffic funnel, that's really all it is. It's just data. Really, that's all of this. Everything now, it's just data where it's like it's keeping track of how many clicks you get and it's quantifying that. Like I was having this really interesting conversation with Oliver Bear about Facebook. I think I can say his name. I did. And so it was basically about like how programming works essentially, and how these things really are not, they're indifferent in a way. They're just direct. They do what they're directed to do, which is like quantify information. So he was talking about there was something on Facebook. He was just like adding people that he didn't know. And so Facebook figured out and blocked it or banned him or something, suspended his account or something, because they found out by the data that like he followed these people that like he didn't have connections, or there was some numerical reason that like triggered the robots in the system to be like, this is not organic. This is, the numbers and the data are what told them. It wasn't like he got reported or something. Like, I don't know this guy. It was like statistically the programming knew that he didn't know these people because he was adding them without a certain number of connections, or
I forget what it was, but it was basically just like almost like a binary thing where it's like slotting him into uh the same way that the algorithm, right? It's like if you get a certain number of likes, like TikTok, I think it's like if you get a certain number of likes on your first 200 views, it'll show it to like 800 people. And if you get a certain number of likes on that, it'll show it to like a few thousand people. And then and that's my understanding kind of how the algorithm just works in general is like if you get a certain amount of engagement or whatever their metric is at that time, like now I think it's more about engagement. It's not quite as much about views. Then it's like they'll decide to show it to more people or, uh, and so it's this stuff is like more data driven in like this kind of literal way where it's like uh that's the arbiter of quality, is like if thousands of people will stay to watch like a fit video or something, then they'll keep pumping it out to more people and more people and more people and more people. Whereas if you can't figure out how to get that much engagement based, like what I've heard with TikTok is it's based on how long you watch the video. That's what their algorithm is based on. So it's like the algorithm doesn't know what the criteria is. It's purely programmed to function in that way. And so it's not like there's some scout or something that's like observing talent or whatever. It's like it's purely data and kind of like it's almost like market research or something where it's like, do you like this, do you not like this, click the buzzer if you liked it, click the buzzer if you didn't like it. It's like, well, shit, okay, everything is just if you can figure out how to hack that, if you can figure out how to create one of these tunnels, it's almost as much worth it for you to spend your time doing that. Like if you can just figure out how to make some fucking stupid thing that attracts traffic. We're in a traffic crisis or something. It's all about how you garner traffic online. And that sort of is an arbiter of like your recognizability. I don't know. I guess like in a number driven world, that is the logical way to do it. And I mean, I guess with the computer, what else do you have? It is like a 1 or a 0. I don't know, man. We're all fucked, obviously. We're fucked. I got 1 like on this, so clearly I'm fucked in the algorithm. Although they've been feeding me a lot of traffic, I think I am getting like a lot of different people that are, for some reason, when I do it on the laptop, I get more. See, this is what I'm saying. It's like makes no sense, but when I live stream on the laptop, I get more traffic for some fucking reason. Some completely arbitrary, it's just programmed that way. was just frustrating to me as an artist. Just trying to, I am trying to rep a little bit of like a no budget, bare naked approach to all of my aesthetics. The way I play guitar and do these songs, it's just like such a naked. I don't have a pedal board. I barely have an electric guitar. I usually have to borrow one. We're just going to keep yapping until Ashley comes back, everybody. I mean, I could be reading. I've been trying to read more. I've been really into these. Ashley has this Annie Ernaux box set. Annie Ernaux won the Nobel Prize a couple years ago. And they had a class at Columbia you could take, Annie Ernaux. And the whole fucking class was just these. So you buy this box and it's got like 10 fucking books in it, which is pretty cool. And Ashley did not like it for whatever reason. She didn't like the class. She didn't like the writing. So she didn't even read it. So she's got a lot of interesting books, and I've been just trying to tap more into that, even though I watch, Steve Carell movies 90 hours a week. Trying to maintain a little bit of literacy. And, it's just like with everything. You're just trying to feed yourself ideas, feed yourself things to regurgitate into the little baby bird paste here. But, the idea is that if something is thought over and worth publishing, it's probably got some legitimacy and some longevity or durability to it. And so maybe it's a better source of information than, Theo Vaughn podcast or Joe Rogan. As much as I'm a proponent of video literature. And this is something I don't know if I talked about this last time, but it's kind of one of my predominant theories recently and preoccupations is this idea that like we're in like a gliding kind of like Vaseline screen frame of mind now, where it's like people want to avoid anything difficult. They want, because the screen, everything is swiping. It's resizing with your fingers. It's closing. It's we're especially now with AI and whatnot and Chat GPT, we're starting to outsource our brains, where it's like, well, we're not even learning how to read, right? Young kids and stuff are not even learning how to read because it's too hard. Anything that's hard, people are just like, no, fuck, I'm not doing it anymore. I don't know what happened. Once everybody got a fucking device where they could spout their opinion, people realized, oh, wait, why do anything that sucks? Why work your ass off for, minimum wage when you can't afford a place to live, even working full time? Why learn to read when everything's a fucking podcast now, when everything is a video game, when everything is a TikTok video? I'm hyper, even me. It's like I've sort of adopted video, and I've always kind of straddled these cultures. I've always been like a film video kid with my parents' fucking VHS-C camera or a mini DV camera or a DSLR or an iPhone now, right? Obviously. I've been doing videos since the 80s. But there is a difference, between reading and audiobooks. I'm a huge proponent of this stuff. I think this is what poetry readings are all about, is like people do like being read to, and it totally is a viable way to receive literature. And I've been a huge proponent of that. But once again, that is part of this like gliding kind of like Vaseline screen culture, where it's just like everything's a feed, everything is a scroll. It's this endless kind of surface. You're just skating along like it's ice. It's like a layer of ice or something. And reading is not like that. Reading, it's something I've been investigating recently. Books are not smart. They're isolated. They're islands. They're not Wi-Fi compatible. They're analog. They're marooned in themselves. They're alone, but they also they're like a physical manifestation of the thought that went into them. Books are thick. They are a way to time travel and speak to the future and speak to the past and really get inside somebody's head. And it just seems like they don't want us living in our heads. They want our heads to be in the phone. They want everything that used to be in our head, memories, videos, thoughts. It's just all got to go into the phone. Your notes app, your TikTok videos, whatever the hell it is. And, they can spy on it there. They own it, basically. They own your information. They own your content. It lives in all of my live streams live on some fucking server somewhere that literally, they could decide to get rid of them. I hope they never do. How could I possibly maintain an archive? I could download all of my live streams, I guess, and keep them on a hard drive, but it's not like I'm going to have VHS tapes of this stuff. I'd love to have my entire YouTube on VHS. I'd love to have all of my vlogs on VHS. I'd love to be able to pop them in a goddamn VCR and just watch my vlogs. That would be so awesome. That would be the preferred way to watch. DVD would also be good. But, I think we need books. I think we need that field and that space to have worked over ideas with more depth. I don't know. Can you learn everything from David Graeber books through the audiobook or TikTok videos? I don't know. To me, some of the most important books I ever read were Naomi Klein, No Logo, and Shock Doctrine. Those were books. It wasn't a fucking YouTube video. It wasn't an interview. Is watching Naomi Klein interview equal to reading that book? I mean, do I remember anything from the book? Not really. I mean, there are definitely certain things I remember. There's certain ideas you take. So I don't know. It's like with a gym, right? Somebody made the comment since we don't do physical labor as part of our daily, we're not chopping wood and dragging pails of water and shit. We're not farming. We're sitting at a desk, or we've got some kind of disembodied computer labor. We have the gym, right? The gym is how people exercise. They're otherwise sedate, sitting down. It's famous, right? How it's scientifically proven and shown how bad sitting is for you. And yet, corporate office, whatever, laptop culture, it's all fucking sitting. And so you go to the gym to keep your muscles from atrophying and shit. You drive everywhere, but you go to the gym. And so the idea is well, now that's sort of happening inside of our heads, where it's how often are you alone? I think some people, we were sort of trained on all this stuff during the pandemic. We were all shitting our pants and isolated. And so I know for me, it's if I'm home alone, it can be hard to just sit in the silence and the isolation. It's you've either it's comforting to have a voice, a companion. Is, if you're just by yourself and the kind of